About hitting the soft underbelly of Europe. We talked about the conquest of northern Africa, and because of the attention the Germans threw that direction, the Russians were able to gain a great victory in Stalingrad on the eastern front. And so the area that has to be controlled in the south still is Italy. It's under the control of Benito Mussolini, the dictator. So our subtopic is fighting in Italy. And in July of 1943, American and British armies invaded the island of Sicily. This victory was under the leadership of American General George Patton. And when the Allies defeated the Italians in Italy, in Sicily, and onto the mainland, it basically knocked the Italians out of World War II. So under the leadership of American General George Patton, in July of 1943, American and British armies invade the island of Sicily, overrun the country of Italy, and basically knock Italy out of World War II. Now, Italian dictator Mussolini was overthrown after the Allied victory in Sicily, and he was replaced by Pietro Badoga, who then immediately, unconditionally surrendered to the Allies. So, after the Allied victory in Sicily, Italian dictator Benito Mussolini was overthrown. He was replaced by Pietro Badoga, and he unconditionally surrendered to the Allies. Now, I want you to think about this. Just because the Italians surrendered, did that mean that war in that country ended? Because who was still there not surrendering? German soldiers. Okay? So, even though the country surrendered to the Allies after their victory in Sicily, the surrender by the Italians did not mean that war in the country ended. The country was still infested with German soldiers, so the Allies continued to press northward in Italy from Sicily. And on October 1st of 1943, the Allies captured the Italian city of Naples, and they did so under the command of American General Mark Clark. So on October 1st of 1943, the Allies captured Naples, Italy, under the command of American General Mark Clark. What major city had to be taken still? Say it. Rome. And that happened in June of 1944 when the Italian city of Rome was captured by the Allies. Finally, in June of 1944, the Italian city of Rome was captured by the Allies. Now, I want you to keep this in mind. This fighting in Italy continued to be very difficult. Every inch of soil was won at a great cost. These German soldiers dug in big time. And they fought in Italy until the last few months of the war in Europe. They were still fighting in Italy. For the most part, the Italian people had succumbed to the Allies, but the Germans there did not. So this soft underbelly that Winston Churchill referred to the southern part of Europe was really as hard as granite, because fighting in Italy was tough. It took us a long time, the Allies, to totally run the Germans out of Italy. Now, if you can kind of picture this, here's Europe in a real bad drawing. But we're down here fighting the southern end of Europe, and because the fighting was taking so long, you laughing at my picture? Because it was taking so long to gain ground in Italy, the Allies decided to have a northern attack on the beaches of Normandy, France. And this assault by the Allies on the beaches of Normandy, France, will go down in American history as D-Day. And D-Day in Europe is our next subtopic. So because the fighting was going so slow in Italy, in the northern part of Italy, the Allies decided to launch a frontal attack on the northern coast of France, on the beaches of Normandy, which goes down in American history as D-Day in Europe. Now let's see what we know here. President Roosevelt and Prime Minister Winston Churchill worked very well together in strategy for World War II in Europe. And they had to choose an overall commander that would lead Allied forces in this invasion of northern France, northern Europe. Who did they choose to lead the Allied forces there? General Dwight D. Eisenhower was chosen as the overall commander of this second front invasion of northern Europe at Normandy. And if you know anything about General Eisenhower, he had a very calm temperament, he was very, very bright, and he was an excellent organizer of men. Very efficient military general. He had a very calm temperament, which you would need, I would think, in that position. He was very, very bright, and he was an excellent organizer of men. And he will have the task of organizing the greatest amphibious invasion in world history. What's an amphibious invasion, Hyman? What's an amphibious invasion? Invading via
water.
Water. Okay. Amphibious, let me spell that for you. A-M-P-H-I-B-I-O-U-S. A-M-P-H-I-B-I-O-U-S. So Eisenhower will have the task of organizing the greatest amphibious invasion in world history. This invasion will be known forever in military history as Operation Overlord. The Allied invasion of the beaches of Normandy, also known as D-Day, the military term for that was Operation Overlord. Now I want to give you 5 examples of how big of an operation this is going to be. It's going to consist of about 3 million soldiers. 3 million soldiers. Operation Overlord is going to consist of about 3 million soldiers. Millions of tons of weapons. Millions of tons of weapons. Tens of thousands of motor vehicles. Tens of thousands of motor vehicles. Approximately 11,000 aircraft. And over 400 military vessels. So approximately 3 million soldiers. Millions of tons of weapons. Tens of thousands of motor vehicles, which would be like a tank, Jeep. Over 11,000 aircraft, and when I say 400 military vessels, what do I mean by that? Big ships. Okay, big ships. Operation Overlord was launched on June 6th, 1944. Was launched on June 6th of 1944 on the beaches of Normandy in northwestern France. Operation Overlord was launched on June 6, 1944 on the beaches of Normandy in France. Now, there are many beaches there. Many beaches. Which one's the most celebrated and was the one that was depicted in the movie Saving Private Ryan? Omaha Beach. Okay, Omaha Beach. And on Omaha Beach, the invasion began. That was one most documented. And soldiers from the United States, Great Britain, and those Frenchmen that were free, remember France got taken over by Germany, so the free French took part. Soldiers from the United States, Great Britain, and the free French took part. And they, being Eisenhower and the top military brass, Roosevelt, Churchill, expected high casualties during this invasion. They expected, and they got it. Well, after being pinned down on the beaches for a period of time, which you're going to see here in a minute, and suffering horrific casualties, the Allies finally broke through and eventually rolled back the German forces in France. Again, after being pinned down the beaches for a period of time and suffering horrific casualties, the Allies finally broke through and eventually rolled back the German forces. When did that assault start? June 6th. On August 25th, the Allies entered Paris, France, and by September 12th, they had advanced beyond the German border and the country of France had been liberated. Remember, they were taken over by the Germans early. So, on August 25th, 1944, the Allies entered Paris, France, and by September 12th, 1944, they advanced beyond the German border and the country of France was totally liberated. But they paid a tremendous price to do it. Now, this is one of my more prized possessions. Anybody know what this is other than a knife? Anybody tell me what they think this is? What's this go to? What would a soldier have this for? To defend himself? No, for what? Mess kit. This is a U.S. issued Army knife found on the Omaha beach after the D-Day invasion. That's pretty cool. Some soldier that either lost his life or did not lose his life lost this during his assault of those beaches and was found. A friend of mine gave this to me. Okay? Be careful, it is a knife, probably illegal in the school, but keep track. Okay, any questions? All right, what we're going to do now, and again, I will forewarn you a little bit that this is a little graphic, but it's not as graphic as it could be. If you want to see the real deal, you can get on the movie itself. But the thing I want to emphasize here, kids, is I want you to be paying attention. I want everybody quiet, and I want you to picture if you think you would have the stamina, the guts, and the courage, or the dedication to do what these guys are doing. This is going to show you vessels hitting the beaches of Normandy and these guys trying to take control of German-occupied France. Somebody hit the lights for me, please. Okay, here we go. Pay attention. asked where's the rallying point, he said anywhere but here.